Well, good morning. My name is Dallas Woodhouse, and I am the State Director of Americans for Prosperity, North Carolina. And it is a great day for home ownership in North Carolina, where people all across North Carolina in various counties, from Gates in the far east to Graham in the far west, said no to an additional tax on home ownership. What you see behind me are the ground troops in this fight. There's a lot of articles that have been written about a lot of money that was spent to get the message out, but these are the people. They're not connected to the real estate industry. They're not connected to the building industry. They are taxpayers. They are taxpayers that are tired of big government spending that comes out of Raleigh and big government spending that comes out of the halls of the county commissioners all across North Carolina. And I am proud to stand with the grassroots members of Americans for Prosperity and North Carolina FreedomWorks as we celebrate a historic victory against bigger government today here in North Carolina. The results last night were outstanding. 16 counties of very different demographics, very different political makeups, all said no to the land transfer tax. I here today, along with State Director Alan Page of FreedomWorks, today call on county commissioners from all across North Carolina to understand and clearly hear this message that there is simply not an appetite for a new tax on home ownership. And county commissioners all across North Carolina should immediately abandon all attempts to tax people out of the American dream. Alan Page and I, my counterpart at FreedomWorks, have documented dozens and dozens of cases where we believe local government has gone over the line in spending taxpayer resources to advocate for these tax increases. In Union County, they spent $20,000 sent material home with the school kids. Macon County, they took out billboards paid for by taxpayer resources. There is a cost to the taxpayers to putting these referenda on the ballot. The taxpayers should be saved from further abuse in this issue. And again, we call on all county commissioners to abandon the attempts to increase the land transfer tax across North Carolina. There is no reason to think that the results of this would be any different in any of the other counties across North Carolina. It was a clear and resolute message from taxpayers all across North Carolina. And I particularly want to send this message to the Chatham County Commissioners. Chatham County was ground zero in this fight over the land transfer tax. Americans for Prosperity knocked on 1,000 doors in Chatham County over this last weekend. We went door to door, neighbor to neighbor, and even though there was strong support among some groups in Chatham County, the land transfer tax went down in a huge defeat in Chatham County. Commissioner Patrick Barnes and other members of the Chatham County Commission have said that they don't care what the voters think. They don't care. They're going to continue to put this on the ballot and could put it on the ballot till it passes. Well, let me tell you something. If they do that, they're going to have one heck of a fight on their hands from grassroots people across North Carolina. The voters have spoken in Chatham County and in 15 other places, and they should be respected for their vote. So Patrick Barnes, the commissioner in Chatham County, also said that if you couldn't afford a $400 tax on a $100,000 house, and I want somebody to find me a $100,000 house in Chatham County because they don't exist. If you can't afford the $400, then you simply shouldn't buy a house. Well, we're going to send a message to Commissioner Patrick Barnes that we're not going to let him steal the American dream for good people in Chatham County and others. This story today is about the next person that will be able to buy a house that was close to the margin. The person that's able to buy a 3-bedroom house instead of a 2-bedroom. The person that's able to get out of a mobile home into a stick-built house because this tax was not increased on homeowners. So it is a great day for North Carolina, and the commissioners need to listen. With that, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Kathy Hartzog with North Carolina FreedomWorks.
Thank you. Thank you, Dallas and Americans for Prosperity, for hosting this press conference. Thank you to the coalition groups who worked together to achieve this incredible victory last night. Today is a day of celebration. Today is a day of celebration for the more than 32,000 North Carolina FreedomWorks members and to every North Carolinian who believes in lower taxes, less government. Dallas spoke of the incredible media campaign, the enormous amounts of money that local governments, boards of county commissioners funded by taxpayers spent advertising basically to get those taxpayers to then pay even more money. This is one example. This is a brochure passed out by the Henderson County Board of Commissioners. At the top, very clearly, I'd like to point out, Henderson County, the voter's choice, proposed land transfer tax. The voters indeed did speak. Obviously, the increase in the land transfer tax was not their choice. We have been asked this morning and last night by local media, what's next? You've had an incredible victory. Where do you go from here? Where we go from here is that we stay here. The grassroots armies of these two organizations and countless individuals across our state will remain on the ground. We expect that quite possibly we will see these votes again come May elections, and we will be here because we believe that freedom works. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. You know, FreedomWorks is a similar group to Americans for Prosperity. Worked really hard in the Piedmont and the western North Carolina, and I wish we'd just done a little better in Graham County. We only beat it 93-7 there. Was it 97-3? I mean, it was. I think we had 12 people vote for it in Graham County, so we'll have to go talk with those 12 people. But it was an amazing. Did an amazing job out there, and we thank them. Somebody who was with us from the beginning on this issue was our House Minority Leader, Paul Skip Stam, who knew that this transfer tax was not wanted by the people and fought it every step of the way. And I appreciate and am honored to introduce him today. Representative Stam, thank you for your leadership on this issue.
Thank you, Dallas and Kathy and Chris Farr, who's been everywhere on this. Let me just tell you how we got here. Some small liberal groups just want more taxes because they want to grow government. But they could not get a majority of the House to go along. They could not get a majority of the Senate to go along. So what do you do when you're in a minority but you're in a position of power? You violate House rules and you stick it in the conference report on the budget, which is unamendable and will pass because budgets always pass. And that's what happened on this. And there were other things in that conference report, the athletic scholarships, unprecedented, an extra $400 million of spending that was not in the House or Senate budget. And I'm going to call on the House and Senate leaders to immediately repeal everything that was in that budget that was not in either the House or Senate budget, including the authorization to send out these referenda to the counties. They ought to make that the first order of business, to just back up, start over, and not put these good people to have to do this kind of work every time some county commissioner decides to try to tax somebody else instead of himself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Skip. And I can tell you without question that Americans for Prosperity and FreedomWorks will be working hard to repeal the initiative on the transfer tax. The voters have spoken, and we shouldn't have to do this in 80 counties where the results will likely be the same.